Hi guys, Melvin here. Been asked them by a few people and just questioned through social media in general. But people have been asking, what is SMS marketing? Does it work? How does it work? And then where does Textpert fit in relation to other systems out there? So first of all, I'm going to cover then, what is SMS marketing, and why does it work so well? And if you're not using it, you should really consider it. Whatever business is you're running, I'm going to go through some facts that are out there on why it works. So this is just a little graphic that compares it to other online methods that we use. So whether it's Twitter or Facebook or email, so there's other social media sites out there. But these are just some stats then that I pulled offline, and I've seen a few like digital agencies use similar stats, so they're thereabouts on them all. So it's just then, yeah. So if you're marketing through these methods now, are your customers actually seeing it? So let's just take Facebook then, for example. Okay, a method then that personally I've used for many years, had great success with, and I know a lot of people do. But you look at there, and, only 12% of the people who are following you or like your page, actually only see and read your posts on it. Then now I'm just going to give a few examples here. So I'm just going to jump into Facebook. Just do this. Come on. Okay. So here's one here, Mr. Facebook himself, Mark Zuckerberg. So here's his wall, and you see you've got 77, well, we'll call it 78 million people, yeah, following. All right. So, still not everyone on Facebook, he should probably have more than that considering he started it off. But yeah, 78 million people follow him on Facebook. All right. So we looked in here now, and you see as you can tell then, what interaction he gets. So, yesterday then was Thanksgiving, and he's had 171,000 likes, loves, wows, etc. on there. Then, obviously, lots of shares. Well, I say lots of shares. 4,417 shares is not a big stat considering he's got 78 million, followers. Then we go down to then his last video he did. Now, this was a live video, which again, has so much more interaction and a higher edge rank on Facebook than just posting a normal video. But you look here, he's only got 3.1 million views, on it then. So that out of his 78 million, followers is not a high amount really. So you see there, even Mr. Facebook himself, he's not getting that much interaction. And that's not saying, people have watched all 21 minutes of that video. I think it's just a short period of time that they've looked at it on it then. Let's look at, another king of social media, Gary Vaynerchuk. He's got his little blue tick, so he's verified. And again, you look at Gary, so he's got, 1.3, just call it 1.3 million likes to his page. Which again, personally, I'd love that many likes. I've only got, 1,000 on mine. Because he's got 1.3 million people, obviously around the world, and who like his stuff. And if you don't like him, I'd highly recommend you go and watch some of his videos. But you look here, so you look at his last video, right? And it's only been watched just 100,000 times. So again, what's that there? Less than 10% of his actual people who like his page have watched his video. That then is just less than a day old. So let's try and find an older one. Then that'll have more organic reach and been shared around. So we'll look at this one. So this is a couple of days ago. And this was one of his daily V shows that he does, and it's only had 37,000 views, which again is great if you've only got a few thousand followers, but he's got 1.3 million followers. So the vast majority of people aren't seeing his content, and this is one of the kings of social media. Yeah. So is social media working? Yeah, of course it works, but is it like I said, the graphic says? Are people actually seeing your posts? And obviously you can then get into your Facebook advertising and expand that on there. But them, with just organic views and that he's got. So you are then on a small scale. Let's say you've only got a couple of thousand, followers. on it then. How many actual people are going to see your posts on it then? Looking then at email, again, this then is something then that, I personally, I've fallen out of love with email because I get that many of them. Again, I'll just jump in and show one of my accounts here. And this isn't my main email account, but I've got, just under 8,000 unopened emails, and then my main account has something like 30,000. It's just ridiculous. And I don't use it that much. I don't know if I passed it there. Don't use email, that much. Some of the best people who are following, I'm signed up to like their newsletters. They have three problems getting through to me. One is getting through my spam filter, which Gmail and Hotmail, decide what they want. Yeah. So a lot of people then who actually want to see their emails actually get put into my spam, even though I've whitelisted them and said that they are safe. So they have that problem of getting through. Yeah. Then they've got to get through all that noise. So then something like 147 emails is what a typical person gets per day. Yeah. So does yours stand out on that? And that's where, people, and, there's some great email marketers out there, but they've got to come up with copy after copy and headlines and that are grabbing, to stand out from all that noise on it then. And that's why I say 20%, are only opened. And then once they are opened, are they actually read? Again, typical emails, a long blurb in there then that people have got to read. So you just, are you getting them at the right time when they can sit down and they've got 2, 5, 10 minutes to read through and take in what you're actually putting through on the email message. So you have loads of issues then with emails. Then we move on to text message marketing. Now I've seen, 95%, 97%, but you see it's such a high percentage of messages are actually read. Right then. Two reasons mainly for that. One, people are never, a million miles away from the phone. You feel like you're lost if you've not got your phone within hand's reach on it then. So people are always there then on the phone. And just, and because the messages are so short, people read them. You've only got, like I say, 140, 160 characters to get your message across. Someone can read that, in the blink of an eye. So again, depending on how good your message is, but people read it just because it is literally a snap, look that they've got to do to read that message on it then. We cover, good text messages to send out, in our system. But yeah, they're so highly read. So even if you were just, broadcasting out thousands, tens of thousands, millions of messages, a lot of them are going to get read just because text messaging works. People always ask me, does it work? And the question I always ask them is, have a look at how many unopened emails you've got, compare that to how many unopened text messages you've got. Do it yourself. Most people come back, they've got lots of unopened emails, but most of the answers on text messages is 0, or 1. They have so few unopened text messages, and obviously to open it means you've got to have read it. Well, not necessarily, but again, because it's a snapshot of what you have to read, most people will take that message in on it then. So so many of them get read, and in the stat is actually 97% of the messages get read within the first 3 minutes of receiving them. You've probably been in a meeting and someone's got a text message across the room and they'll look at it, because people do. They just look at it. Yeah, look at it straight away on it then. So they do. Text messaging works. I say such a high open rate to get your message read. But there is a problem with SMS marketing, right? And people have spoke to those and that use it, but then also the actual end users, the customers, and this is the problem. And there's a few then that's wrong at present. And this is what it's basically become. It becomes spam central. Yeah, I get a few all the time. Try and opt out of them, but they're basically the same message over and over again. And all it is people know that SMS marketing works, right? But all they do then is just throw out enough crap, yeah, whether it's millions of messages. They know then the return on investment is there, but they just think like, just keep throwing out. Some of it will come back eventually. And that's the methodology of what people are using at the moment. And that's partly because they've been educated wrong, But the main part is that's a system that's out there, that's available at the moment on it then. So it's just become spam central on it then. It can be quite costly, right? Unlike an email system, which again, you've normally got a cost to have then like a big list and to build that list. But again, in general, depending on what service you use, you can normally send out, regular emails. I have some, I don't know why, but they send out, 4 emails per day, on it then. But yeah, compared to emails and obviously the free services you can do through social media, sending out SMS messages is costly upfront. So depending on what you're selling and what you want that return on investment to be, it normally works out, quite a low cost in the end. But as an initial send, there is a fee, regardless of what service you're using. I tell a lie, there is free systems out there, right, that you can use. And I've seen them and I've used them, and that was partly what got me started in SMS marketing. I was using some free systems, but they just had so many problems with them on them. The time element and that took to do them was actually then costing me more in time than the actual, obviously, in money sent out. There's no tracking. All right. Most people, again, you would have had, if you've had SMS marketing messages sent to you or you've used it before, is you'll normally use a URL shortener like Bitly. Yeah, so you use a Bitly link on it then, which can track, so you can do some tracking. So if you send out 1,000 messages, you can track that 200 of those messages were opened. Okay, on it then, and that's all you can do. Now, unfortunately, if unless you're using a URL shortener, you've got no way of tracking what's what people have opened and not opened. And then typically, like I say, all the systems out there that I've seen, there's a couple then that probably a bit more advanced than this, but they're just basically broadcast systems. So whether someone signs up for your newsletter or you've got a list of 1,000 people have already opted in and you want to send out a message, you can just send out the same message to every single person on it then. And that's where it becomes, like say spammer, is because you're not tailoring it to individual needs. And again, depends on what you're offering and how many times you use it. A broadcast system, can work for you then, but there's no intelligence at all behind it then. And that's the main thing. There's no science in the follow-up. Like say you can send out 1,000 messages, then that 200 people have clicked on your link, right? But there's no science at all in the follow-up system. So tomorrow when you want to send out another message, all you can do is send out the same message or a new message to the same 1,000 people. You don't know about them 200 then that have clicked it, and the 800 that didn't click it. You don't know who they are. You just got to send out another broadcast message. And that's why Textpert is different. Okay, on it then. Textpert was come about, and again, if you know my story, but I'll just give it briefly. I've been using SMS marketing for a couple of years now, and quite heavily over the past 18 months. But the system that I was using just didn't match what I wanted. And I've used intelligent email marketing campaigns and software that's out there. But on the SMS side, there was just nothing at all that was even close on it then. And like what I've just explained there were broadcast systems I could send out. I knew they were working, but I just didn't know, why they were working and how they were working and what them actual customers, who they actually were. So why Textpert is different. We personalize everything. You have a choice to personalize it. So if you know all your customers' names, you can put in there, "Hi John." Now that's not unique. I'm not going to say that's what makes us stand out from the crowd. There's a few systems out there then that allow you to do that, but ours is simpler. Upload your contacts, and if you've got a name in there, it will just obviously drag that name into the message. So when you're sending out a message, it will say, "Hi John," or "Have a look at this, John," or whatever you want to do. But you can put in their name in that message, which again is proven to have much more success because it doesn't look like it's a spam. People like using their own name and hearing their own name. So put the name in the message if you've got it. This is where we become individual, are different from everyone else. Is we track individuals. Yeah, I know some people say it's a bit like Big Brother, but as a marketer, like saying about with a broadcast system is I've sent out 1,000 messages and 200 have clicked it. I want to know who those 200 people are. And that's what we do is, we know, who does what and who doesn't do what as well on it then. So we track each individual person and what they do or and don't do. This is what we actually can track then on our system. Well, the first thing obviously is the message, is the number valid? So we can track that, and therefore, so your first send out, we can track, there might be wrong numbers in there or dead numbers or numbers in that are old and expired. So we can track that and clear that up for you on it then. So we can track them whether people, open up the message. Again, dead simple to do on our system. And this is where we get clever then. This is where we actually use a scientific method, which I'm not going to tell you because that's our secret, but we can track whether people click it or they don't click it or they reply. So depending on what your message is, so if you put a link in there, you want someone to click it, to watch a video, buy a product, register for a newsletter, blah, 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 whatever you want to do, we can track what that individual person does, okay, or if they reply back. So if you put a message in, reply back for more information, we can track that John has done that action, and we can also track that Mary hasn't done that action. And then we can follow up automatically depending on what they do. So let's say, for example, you've got someone and you want them to click to buy a product. Okay, Black Friday today. I'm going to tell you our Black Friday deal at the end. So if you are watching this after this weekend, do apologise, you are going to miss out. But let's say, I've got a product to sell. It's a pair of shoes, yeah? And Mary, has clicked through and she wants to buy, them shoes. Right then. I can track, whether Mary's done that action, but then I can track then that John didn't buy them shoes. Hopefully not the same pair of shoes, right? But I can track, individual customers depending on what they do. So if they're registering for a webinar, let's say, okay, we can see then that John has clicked through and has registered for the webinar, and Mary hasn't. Mary didn't click on the link at all. So we can then, was the message wrong? So then the follow-up message to Mary is going to be different to the message to John because they've done different things to start with. So why send them the same follow-up message? Right? You want to tailor it individually for what they do. We then give you individual reporting. So if you've got a campaign, and just using the numbers that we've used so far, so we've got 1,000 people, it was to register for a webinar, and 200 people registered for that webinar. We can give you a report that tells you which 200 people clicked on the link and which of the 800 people didn't click on the link on it then. Or whatever you want to do. Let's say there's different follow-up mechanisms in our system, but we can track an individual report on what each customer does. So if your sales funnel that you build with inside Textpert has 3 actions, say, so first message, is registered for a webinar, then they've got a product to buy, and then they've got a newsletter to sign up for. Example, there's lots of different ways you can use it. Right? If we know that that John has done each of those 3 things, John there is such a hot customer, compared to Mary, who's not clicked on anything, or Peter, who only clicked on one of the links but not all 3. So we know which individuals have done what. So your follow-up, so if you've got 10 customers and you think, okay, now I've gone from 1,000 to 10 that are really hot, would it be worth for you getting on the phone to them people or sending them a separate SMS campaign? But you know exactly what each person has done, and that's what the reports will give you. What we also do is we track them through to your website, okay, and what action they take. So again, using the example we've done so far, is you've sent out 1,000 messages and they've clicked 200 have clicked to watch your webinar, on it then, or to register for your webinar. So out of those 200 people, okay, let's say 100 people actually watched your little video and registered for your webinar on it then. So now again, we've gone off the SMS platform into your website, and now we're tracking, whether a customer has watched your video, and have registered for your webinar. So again, the 100 people in that did register, okay, your auto follow-up that you could then set is like a thank you and then a reminder for when the webinar is. The 100 people in that click the link but didn't register for the webinar, you could send them a follow-up message. Don't forget to register. Here's your last chance if it's on there. But you can track what they do past the SMS platform. So once they're on the website, so when people purchase something, let's say, and I get it all the time. Okay, so people will use like Facebook pixels and they'll track, once you're on the website and they'll retarget you. And like Amazon are a great one for it. So I'll go on there and obviously, shopping at the moment for kids' Christmas presents, and they'll retarget me with stuff that I've been looking at, which is great. And obviously it works because they wouldn't do it otherwise. But some of them products they retarget me with, I've already bought. So why are they retargeting me again? Right? I've already got it. So that they're wasting, their money on me because I've already bought it. So what if you could, know the customers that have clicked, to look at your product, but not then actually, actually bought it. So again, we can separate them out, track them through your website. So you've got 200 customers that clicked on to buy these pair of shoes, 100 customers bought them, and 100 customers didn't buy them. So your 100 customers that didn't buy, do you follow them up with another campaign? And your 100 customers that did buy, do you follow them up with an upsell, a thank you, or whatever you want to do? And that's where our system becomes, intelligent. Right? So it means that, you can track individuals on what they do. You can auto follow up using our SMS system on that then. Or once you've pulled off your reports, you can then say, okay, I want to do a Facebook campaign to these 100 people that registered on it then. You can send up then, let's say, a reminder if it's for a webinar or you've got an appointment set with them. You can send them an automatic text, remind them of that. That's what our system does. So it's an intelligent SMS platform that does a lot of these things for you. So how do you get it? Textpert.net is the website. You'll see a brief little video on there, and then it will show you the different options we've got to purchase. Now, as I'm recording this, it is Black Friday, and we do have a special offer over this weekend, which will end Monday. So if you're watching it now and you get it now, well done, because you're going to get a great deal. If you're watching this and it's after Cyber Monday or whatever they want to call it, but after Monday, the deal's going to be gone, but it's still a great deal on there. So hopefully you enjoy using our system. Once you're inside our system, there's a lot of training videos in there on how to use each different section on that then. We do weekly training sessions to help people out, and we'll go through like an individual's campaign if they want, and we'll go through what works and what don't work, and monitor the results and help you analyze and what's best way to follow up with the reports that you've got on it then. But also we're here then to especially when you're starting, is to get your first campaign up and running. So if you've got any questions, use the support system, or if you know me personally, reach out to me and I'll get you set up. Thanks for listening, guys. I'll speak to you all very, very soon. Cheers now.